Welcome to Next to Madison, a podcast to help you live your best life.
Welcome back to another episode of Next to Madison. I am your host, Madison Malloy, and on this episode, we are sitting down with a life coach and business strategist, Erin Ley. She is also an author. She's a speaker. She's an unbelievable human. She's been on this podcast. This is her third time back, but we are talking about something very specific that she likes to focus on, which is creating a seven-figure self-image. We can never outperform or out-earn our self-image. So why shouldn't you have a seven-figure self-image? You're not earning seven figures. It's probably because your image doesn't match it. So we could all learn something today to become happier, healthier, and wealthier. This episode is passionate. I get very excited, very angry at some points, not angry, but just, my frustrations with the uppers trying to keep us down, because I want everyone to be abundant and win. So I want everyone to listen to this episode, enjoy it, write down notes, take tips, start using your imagination, your brain, your faculties, everything you need to create that seven-figure self-image. Because if you listen to this podcast, you deserve to win. And I am so grateful for each and every one of you that tunes in, subscribes, shares, does everything. We couldn't do it without you. So we will be right back after this brief message with our guest on Next to Madison. It's your host, Madison Malloy, and I have exciting news. My new product is now available on Amazon called Color Your Way to Abundance, a 21-day manifestation guide for wealth, health, and love. This unique coloring journal will help you manifest by coloring in the affirmations while you continue to repeat them. This will help activate these affirmations so they become a reality. Grab your copy today and relax, color, and start manifesting. We are back with our guest. You guys have seen her before on this podcast. I believe it's her third time, and she is always back for a reason, because every time I talk to her, I learn something amazing that I can apply to my life and make it better. So I want to do the same for all of you. So welcome back to the show, Erin Ley, business coach, life strategist, amazing friend, all the stuff that you are. You have so many titles. How are you?
I'm good. Life coach and business strategist.
There you go. There you go. I'm like,
that's awesome. So
friend,
happy.
badass. Yeah. So we are going to talk about, because this is something like you have your own coaching business and you help people put their life on track. And one of the big things about that is creating a seven-figure self-image. Yes. And so I've talked on this podcast about, manifesting, imagination, things of that sort. So let's just get into it. What does it mean to have a seven-figure self-image?
I love this. I love that we're getting right into this, Madison. It's so cool.
Absolutely.
Because people roaming the planet, the majority of the people roaming the planet are programmed and conditioned to be mediocre, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
They're stuck. People making $50,000 a year are stuck at a self-image that will only allow them to make $50,000 a year or $100,000 a year or just 1 million instead of many millions, so they're stuck because we can never outperform our self-image, right? We can't outperform it, but we can change it, which is so cool, because then we can just expand what we have. Otherwise, it's like the ocean trying to get into a wine bottle. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You work at growing it. So that's the precipice behind understanding how to grow it. So now that you understand that we can't outperform it with our paradigm, right? With the limiting beliefs and habits stored in the subconscious mind, we cannot outperform it. So we have to break down those old patterns, those old stories, and replace them with something better, because the subconscious mind is like a vacuum, right? Something goes away and something else has to fill it right away. So we can get into talking about how to do that and how to have a seven-figure self-image.
So when you say, if you met somebody and you go, they have a seven-figure self-image, what are some characteristics that stand out about them?
Confidence, self-esteem,
gratitude
is huge. When people are grateful for what they have, they're grateful for the people around them, right? They're not using people, they're not taking advantage of people, they're grateful for the people, places, and things in their life. That, with the self-confidence and the discipline is not spoken about a lot. It's really not. But to have a seven-figure self-image and to accomplish great things and be successful, wildly successful, you got to have discipline. You have to apply the discipline. So, and the gratitude, it's huge. There's certain laws in this planet, in this world, that are absolute, and spiritual universal laws are the absolute truth. Then we have our beliefs and our habits that we were brought up with, and the conforming that we did, and the capitulating that we did, that took us away from that seven-figure self-image, or eight-figure, nine-figure self-image, and made people stuck at just these, because of limiting beliefs. They have a limited income, or they have limited relationships, and limited spirituality, and just, everything is limited based on the limiting beliefs that they acquired, mostly from birth to 8, and then they live it out for a lifetime. So we're here today to teach you how to break that down, and to actually acquire a seven-figure self-image and greater.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I love that you mentioned gratitude, because it's so key. I mean, you've probably heard so many people say to you, I'll be happy when, I'll be grateful when, I'll be, when I can have this, when I can have that. But you're always going to be in the waiting zone, because that's like what you're putting out there. So it's grateful for what you have. Like, you can't get more unless you're grateful for what you already have. And it's true. You think about people, and I'm not talking about like trust fund babies. I'm talking about like people who have actually like really made it on their own, of how grateful they are. And they look back now and they say, well, I'm grateful for the struggle. I know that I'm grateful for the struggle. There were times where I felt so bad for myself and I was such a victim, but I'm like, that made me who I was. It led me to this path. Yes. Versus having everything so easy, it wouldn't have played out the way I wanted it to. It wouldn't have shaped me into the person I'm actually proud to look in the mirror and be.
Exactly. And I don't know if it's me or you, if I'm freezing or if you're freezing. I see you're freezing a little bit but we'll just keep rolling with it.
We just keep rolling. We roll here. We're rolling at the Next to Madison podcast. We got money to make, baby.
Embrace the suck, right? You got to embrace the suck, because we learn our biggest and best lessons in the valley while we're going through the trying times. I was talking to a client of mine today, and I just said this last week in passing. It's an analogy that I just thought of. And she has a seven-figure business, and she's looking to grow it to an eight-figure business. And I said, when we're going through the difficult times, right, the trying times, the only way to grow is under pressure. We don't live our biggest and best life and have the best lessons learned when we're living our best life on the mountain peak, right? Yeah. We're in the valley. And I told her it's like an arrow, pulling back an arrow. And the arrow's under pressure, but the more we pull that arrow back, when we release it, it goes even further with more pressure and more tension, right? And then it just takes off that much further. So picture life like that. So when you're in the struggle, when you're embracing the suck, when you're feeling like the arrow is just under so much pressure and pulled back, that means that you're ready to just take off. Most people quit. Friends of mine wrote a book, 3 Feet from Gold, Greg Reed and Sharon Lechter. They wrote a book, 3 Feet from Gold, where people quit right before they hit the gold, right before, they quit. And persistence is everything. And that's part of the seven-figure self-image. And one of the biggest takeaways, you guys, that I want you to take from this is act as if you're already that person that you want to become. Right. So if you want to be a seven-figure earner or an eight-figure earner, nine-figure earner, whatever your business is, and you have to act like you are that person. You got to put your shoulders back, your chin up, walk around, shake hands, shake as many hands as you can, be open, be vulnerable, be coachable, and act as if,
No, I love that. And it is true, because, and I'm speaking for myself, like I've had, where it wasn't somebody, I didn't even realize I was doing it until somebody called me out. They said, what do you do? And I said, oh, like I write books, I have a podcast, and, do some coaching, and I'm a comedian, I speak. And that was my tone. I was kind of looking down, like, this is just what I do, like back to the show, right? And they said to me, because I just didn't want to talk about work. And they said to me, you don't sound very excited about it.
Right.
And it was that aha moment where I'm like, oh shit, that's the energy that I'm putting out there. Yes. And the acting as if, it was like, hold on a second. Like, I change people's lives. I coach people globally. Yes. I coach people in impoverished nations, as well as countries richer than ours. Yes. And it's, you know what I mean? It's like, wait a second, I should hold my health, I should have that energy, right? And if you want to create millions and millions of listeners, well, you got to have that enthusiasm behind you. So I think everyone should, when you act as if, you should have a friend or a mentor and start practicing your introductions with each other.
Yes, yes. And if you're not going to be excited and lit up about your life and what you're doing professionally to impact the lives of others, because that's what you and I do most, is we love the impact. The money always comes. We love the impact, and when you're not lit up about it, how are they going to be lit up about it? How are they going to feel about you if they're investing in you and I know you and you are lit up about it. When I talk to you now, you're just on fire about it. You're so, you're all about it. And I love your abundance book, the coloring book that came out.
Thank you.
I love your work, Madison. You're brilliant at what you do. And it's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you. I love your company.
Well, likewise. But no, it is true. And it's the acting as if, it's a key part.
Yeah,
so if somebody wants to change their sucky self-image, what's something they can start doing today to start changing that self-image, to turn it in from a sucky one to a 7-figure one?
So be aware, number one, of what you're thinking, the thoughts you're thinking and the words you're speaking, because what we think about, we bring about. I've been telling my kids that forever, and they say it to me now, hey, Mom, what you think about, you bring about. And
yes,
it's true. It's so true. So a 7-figure self-image is not speaking into the victimhood. It's not speaking into the suck. It's knowing that we have to embrace the suck and go through it. But, we can't complain our way through it. We have to just focus on the goal. We have to focus on, what we have planned for the next action step that we need to take, right? So it's all about solution rather than the problem. So be aware of your thoughts, be solution oriented rather than the problem focused. A lot of people speak into their problems constantly and they wonder why they don't go away, because we're bringing them alive constantly every time. The words are so powerful. So the biggest thing you can do to start to have a 7-figure self-image is guard your thoughts carefully, and the words that you're speaking only speak into what is going to empower you and build you up, because we're conscious creators. We're all conscious creators. Most people don't even know that. We're creating by default. A lot of people are creating by default. They don't even know it because they're speaking into how hard life is and what their problems are and the cards that they were dealt because of that one and that one and that one. Stop blaming people. Stop blaming people, because when you stop blaming people and you take responsibility for where you're at right here, right now, it's so cool. And it's so exciting because it's like a fresh start, and you release all of the, because of him, because of her, because of that, my parents, my boss, this, that, like my ex, this, and that. When you release all of those stories and you realize that you're going to take full responsibility for where you're at right now, right here, right now, that's a 7-figure earner. That's a 7-figure self-image. That's a person who is just creating their life intentionally and responsibly. Self-responsibility is so important, just as important as the self-image and self-esteem, confidence.
So I think it would be a good exercise. I was just thinking about it now. People say, like, when they have a problem, they say, well, how would somebody with a 7+ figure income feel about this problem? And the truth of the matter is they're not going to feel the same. And then somebody could say in the victim mode, well, easier said than done. True.
Right.
But that's where your imagination and your discipline comes in to play.
And knowing exactly what you want in life.
Yes. When a problem comes along, act as if you already are that 7-figure earner. Is it going to be as much of a headache for you? Probably not.
Yes. And also know that there's a solution to every problem. Don't get so stuck in the problem and talking about the problem. There is a solution for every problem. And when you realize that and you accept it and you let go of trying to drive that wheels, hold on so tight, let go, and realize the problem the solution will come. The opportunities, the right people, places, and things will come to you. The law of attraction, secondary to the law of vibration, right? And when you have a problem, how can I see this differently? Ask yourself self-empowering questions. Not like, I can't believe this is happening to me. That's victim talk, right? How can I see this differently? How can I make this better? What's the solution to this? And when you go within and you ask your higher self and you quiet your mind long enough with that the chatter, the answers always come. if you quiet your mind, drop out of your head and into your heart, the answers always come.
Yeah. Or like, I like another one that I've been doing too is like, what can I learn from this situation?
Yes.
You know, life is happening for you, not to you. I remember because you know, we won't go into the detail, but like last year around this time, I was plowing through and I was helping people, but I was not having an easy go. I was stressed out about a project through the roof. I was stressed out about a dude. I felt more of that victimhood. The pressure was on me like crazy. I wanted something to happen so bad. And all of a sudden I wasn't living my own teachings. And it just kept manifesting. And finally I look back and I go, you know, it's funny how you can look back and you go, thank God. Thank God
Yes.
that didn't happen then. Thank God that relationship didn't work out.
Right.
So
Right.
the shit that we go through, because it's good and bad, it's how you deal with it and how you react to it.
Yeah.
You have to know it's happening for you. And even as coaches, like you and I are human. If you introduce me to a coach that tells you, I have no problems, I'm perfect, I'm going to be like, you're a fraud. You're an absolute fraud.
And there's also toxic positivity. It's called denial. Denial is a very dangerous thing. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like you got to be
we live in a polar universe for a reason. There's the negative and the positive for a reason. We experience the negative so we can appreciate the positive. If everything is perfect and the sun is always shining every day and it's 75 and sunny and every day,
and appreciate it.
You wouldn't. We as humans, part of the human experience, part of the glory of the human experience is that we do experience the negative, so we have a contrast. You know, that's living a full life. So
like what goes up has to come down. But yeah, so now when like things, you know, feel like they're not like right on my time frame, I go, you know what? My timeline isn't in charge. God's timeline is. And I'm going to surrender to that. I'm going to put out clearly what I want, but I'm going to let go of the outcome.
Absolutely.
I'm going to take inspired action, but I'm not going to attach onto it like so strictly. But yeah, I look back at that now, like what I was going through, and you know what I was going through last October. And I thought, if I was earning, you know, 9 figures or 8 figures a year, would I have given 2 shits about any of that bullshit? No.
You might have only because.
But for a microsecond.
Right. Well, money and alcohol, right? Money and alcohol bring out, I believe, money and alcohol bring out like who a person truly is. So if you're like an obnoxious, not you, but people, if person is like obnoxious and, you know, greedy or whatever, the more money they get, the more they will become that, or alcohol brings that out, right? And the more generous and kind and loving, like you just become more of who you really are at the core. That's why you got to work on the core to be able to have that 7, 8, 9, 10 figure self-image. Because if you don't get the core right, it's like band-aids through life. You're never going to have it happen. But when you can do the inner work and have a coach, you know, if everybody listening, you know, even coaches have coaches. So have a coach. When I met with really quick for the 7-figure self-image, when I went to Sharon Lecter's house, right? And I was meeting her, she's a friend of mine, and she was going to go over my business model years ago. And I couldn't believe the words that were coming out of my mouth. She's like, Erin, you have a multi-million-dollar coaching model. And I said, Sharon, whoa, I'm a single mom. There's a lot of work that's got to go into that. You know, like I can't even imagine. And that's for the men in my world, because I grew up in a wealthy area. I grew up in a very wealthy area. And the men at the country club were the ones that were, you know, cranking out the millions and billions or whatever. So I couldn't believe the words that were coming out of my mouth, Madison. And I looked at Sharon, her face was like, what are you saying? Because I kept saying I was going to scale to 7 figures, you know, and I kept saying it. And then those words were coming out of my mouth. And I was like, I had no idea that those thoughts were there. I had no idea. It's the subconscious mind is incredible. That's why it's subconscious, below the conscious, right? And I went home and I worked on millionaire mindset, billionaire mindset meditations, millionaire mindset meditation, the first 17 seconds of waking up, billionaire mindset within the first 17 seconds of waking up and right before falling asleep, because the subconscious mind never sleeps. It just will marinate on that, right?
That's why that for the last 5 minutes is so critical to imagine your future.
Yes. And then just last year, I had a friend of mine reach out to me with an 8-figure opportunity. Well, it's 8 figures now. If we sold it to the company today, it's an early stage technology company. If we sold it today, it's valued at 10 million. And there's 3 of us partners, there's 3 of us. But we're building a portfolio where they're
Yeah.
projecting that the value would be at 100 million to start the betting internationally for this early stage technology
Yeah.
company. I would not have been able to attract that opportunity to me if I didn't do the work at the core of what I needed, the stories and the old paradigm that was keeping me back. That's for the men in my world,
Yes.
Mom, a lot of work. I would go into that. This is not a lot of work, and it's a lot of fun. It's so much fun to do this. So yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
so
it's yeah, and it's so true. I just had a thought though. You have to become a subconscious millionaire to become a conscious millionaire.
there you go.
That's the piece.
Absolutely.
Like if
Absolutely.
you can't subconsciously become what you want to earn, you
You'll never
can't
do it.
physically,
Right.
consciously actually do it. Yeah, and you were right. Like you were at the right place. You were vibrating. That's why, our mentor Bob Proctor always said, like, you don't have to know the how. You
They
just
say
have to be in vibration with what it is that you want. That will be shown to you. I mean, if we were talking last year at this time and you were like, this was not on the horizon for you by any stretch of the imagination at this time, but you attracted
well,
it
this
because you
time last year,
knew.
yeah,
Okay, so
2020, the end of 2022 is when it started.
yeah, okay, so but because you were in vibration, you were able to actually come and attract that,
Right, right, right.
you know.
That's what I'm saying. And you said, like you just said, you have to believe it and subconsciously in order to attract it to you. That's why they say, as above, so below. As above, the conscious mind, so below the subconscious.
Uh-huh.
Right. So this is the 7-figure self-image. I'm actually doing events in 2025 quarterly. My whole brand is Life on Track. So I'm
Yep.
doing 3-day events quarterly on the 7-figure self-image with a bunch of speakers. And then we're going to do a retreat on the 7-figure self-image in 2026 in Boca,
Well,
where a friend
keep
of
me
mine.
in mind.
I will, of course, of course. So it's my
Yeah,
favorite conversation. I want everybody to win, to be successful, because we all have what it takes. It's just sometimes
exactly. No, it's true.
believing.
And listen, the whole thing, it's like you go back to it and you start looking at, like, if you took yourself and you zoomed yourself back like a drone and you're looking down on your life and the world and you see things for what it really is, and like how money is just energy and how people put so much pressure on themselves it's not needed, and also how the higher ups, the government, the deep state, whatever you want to call it,
Right.
wants to keep us all down because we're easier to control, like little puppets, right?
Oh,
So
absolutely.
let's just brainwash them in education to be employees, and that you have to work hard to make money so they'll just have enough to get by. That
So
way they
smart.
can't compete with us,
And
okay?
they can't
And
control. They
this
can't
is
control.
exactly, and
Yeah.
this is not a political fucking conversation, okay?
No,
We are
it's
all talking, we're
proven.
talking humanity against whatever bigger forces out
Right.
there. But
Right.
you can break free from the
That's right.
matrix by
That,
changing your self-image, your belief. Take everything you learned in fucking school and throw it out the window.
that's right.
I'm
That's
getting mad
right.
now. Throw it out
That's
the
right.
fucking window. Great. You
Right.
learn how to read a textbook, rehearse shit, and take a test. What good is that going to do for you? Is that going to make you a millionaire? No. As my father said, the C students employ the A students.
It's
But you
so
should
true.
still get good grades if you're listening to this. But I'm just saying, all that
Right.
stuff, you're responsible. The school's going to
Agreed.
keep you down. The media is going to keep you down. The news is going to keep you down. The subconscious programming of the freaking music. Start paying attention to the words. It
They
is
changed the
programming you to
frequency.
keep you fucking down. And I am sick and fucking tired of it. I
I
can't
gotta
believe
jump
I'm getting
in. Jump in.
passionate on
I gotta
this.
jump in because I love this, and I agree 1,000%. 1,000%.
Oh,
They changed the frequency of the music in the 70s because the frequency of the music, I think it was like 432 hertz. It was very calming for the nervous system. It was healing. It was very good for humanity. And then whoever, we could probably fit them in my living room, like people around the world that are pulling the puppet strings for all this stuff, decided, no, we're going to change the frequency because that's calming and healing for the nervous system for humans. We want to get them on meds. So they changed the frequency to make it very nervous, energy for the nervous system and violent.
wow.
And that happened in the 70s, and nobody talks about this stuff. There's so much, but
all this bullshit that's happening now started in the 60s. Could have even started in the 50s.
Totally.
I mean, we could go hours on this, right? We'll get back to the seven-figure self-image, but obviously you got the bullshit of the music frequency. You got the extremism of the feminist movement. You've got the education system. You've got pharmaceuticals. You've got too many vaccines coming in. There's so much shit. So we're going to get off that tangent, and we're going to come back and have another episode on this, because obviously I'm passionate, fired up. I don't think I've ever been this fired up on this fucking podcast. People are going, whoa, what is going on here? I'm like, fuck this. But no.
Because if they can destroy family and finances, they'll control you. And that's what they've been wanting. That's why rates through the roof.
Yes. So what I'm telling everyone, and this is why this episode is so important, and I'm not going off on a tangent and being emotional. I want everyone to have a seven-figure self-image.
Yes.
Because the only one in charge of you is God or the universe, whatever you believe. For me, it's
and
God.
you.
Okay?
That's it.
So be kind. Stop hating people because they think differently than you. But take everything you thought you knew and switch it around and throw it out the window. If you are not a millionaire today, start writing down all the daily habits.
Yeah.
Your daily habits, a lot of them are the same. Get up at this time, get coffee, look at my TikTok, look at my Instagram, look at the news. Holy shit, talk about toxic shit. How about you? Right. That's what's getting you results. If you want to become a millionaire, write down the habits you need to be that. The quicker you take control of your finances and your life and the story that you're telling, your seven-figure self-image, that's it. I just figured out my passion project. I want every single person on this planet, every single person to become as rich as they possibly can. And that way, nobody controls us anymore. Nobody. And shut off the news. There's no point listening to it.
I haven't watched the news in forever. It's
shut off the fucking news.
It's called Right.
Okay, so yes, back to abundance.
But seven-figure self-image, my whole life on track brand. Yeah, especially since the pandemic, I've been on fire just to empower people with all this information so that they can make informed decisions for themselves, so that they're empowered, so that, and like you said, and the seven-figure self-image is definitely about money, and money's energy, but it's also about the relationships that you have with your spouse, with your family, with your employees or your coworkers, or it's about relationships. And the word relationship, think about it. If you're not relating to the other person, you don't have a relationship. That's relationship about relating. And there's a lot of, again, from the media and from the music, there's a lot of tension and violence and stuff like that going on in relationships. So seven-figure self-image, you're not putting up with that. You're not putting up with that.
Well, it's energy, and you have to be on that abundant energy. And an abundant energy is not tension and fighting and dividing and thinking you're better than people. That might last for a little bit, but it's not going to keep you.
No, it's gratitude. It's compassion. It's love. There's two things in life, fear and love. Now, anything under the category of fear is anything negative: regret, remorse, anger, shame, guilt, resentment. That's anxiety, depression. That's all under the category. It's fear-based. It's not even real. We're not born into this life with fear. By design, we're born into this life with an innate feeling of love and wanting to be loved. Isn't that interesting? We're not born with fear, any kind of fear that's learned as a child. We're born, though, designed with this innate ability to love. And if we're not loving and we're not feeling loved, we hurt. Yeah. So you want to get out of the fear and get into the love, because your life will just grow in the most amazing ways. We're talking about seven-figure self-image on steroids, when you can live in the vibe of love, joy, and inner peace, and enlightenment is as high as it gets on the frequency funnel. Like at the bottom is shame and guilt, but as high as it gets, it's enlightenment, love, joy, and peace, inner peace. So when you can vibe there, your whole life is fun. Life is fun. Life is so good. And
it's true.
Release the negativity. Release the toxic, right? And the bridge, if you're in fear and you're like, Erin, I don't know how to get out of fear and get into this seven-figure self-image conversation, the way to the bridge between fear and love is gratitude. It's gratitude. When you start waking waking up and you're just thankful for anything that you have. It could be the littlest, tiniest thing, you know, and you're just like, I have 2 feet and 2 hands, you know, two ears that can hear and 2 eyes that can see. It could be anything, you know, it doesn't have to be these, when you're grateful for this, well, then all of a sudden you feel that feeling of love and you kind of feel loved because it's like, okay, I have what I need to accomplish something. I have 2 eyes. I can see, I can hear. Yeah, I have my senses. Even if you don't have one or you have something, you still have something to work with regard to building your life.
And
you're
you get to
building an amazing life. Go ahead.
Yeah, and you get to determine how you live it. You get to create it. Our thoughts create our reality, which is why I get so passionate about this. Obviously, you guys are like, whoa, it's the first time she yelled on this podcast. I'm like, ugh. I think it was a couple times. I think usually when the government comes up, I'm like, you know, it doesn't come up too much. Could you imagine if I had a political podcast? I would be screaming. I'd be throwing stuff out a window. So I have to stay away from it.
That would not be high vibe. That would not be high vibe.
I would be like, what the? So I try to stay away from that. But sometimes, but it just hit me how so many people designed us and tried to keep us down when we were meant to thrive and be abundant.
Right.
Not to be religious, but it's in the Bible to be abundant. Ask and you shall receive.
Right.
You know, it's probably in the Torah. Ask and you shall receive. I am there for you to be abundant in love, in money, in everything you need. Why would God put us down here to suffer? He wants us to be abundant. We took on this programming from the music, from the programming, from the education, from everything, and decided we're only good enough to make 50 grand a year. I'm saying 50 grand a year because that is that is the average income of a US citizen.
I know.
Is 50 grand. So
I know.
God didn't design that.
No.
And then you're so bombarded and brainwashed and okay, well, maybe you'll get a promotion and you'll get 5% a year.
And let me just say this also.
Or 10%. Are you kidding me? So let's step out. Let's change that self-image. I don't care if you were currently mopping floors for a living. Bob Proctor mopped floors for a living and became a millionaire.
They made millions. Yeah.
Anything can happen. And I want you to, I just want everyone to take their power back by changing their self-image and knowing that the only person in control is you and God. Don't let these people keep you small. So to create a 7-figure self-image, list off the steps as we close it out. Confidence. I'll start it off. Confidence. Go.
And knowing exactly what you want.
Clarity.
Step into that version of you that you want to become today.
Act as if.
You know, like the whole act as if thing, because if you you're going to create, you're going to manifest a lot faster when you have the vision. You got to have a vision for your life of what you want, exactly what you want personally, professionally. So when you bring it alive with your senses, as if it's happening right now, you have the feeling as if it's happening right now. That's how you act as if, and that's how you manifest very, very quick. Right. So you step into the person that you want to become, live with gratitude, you know, be coachable. Be open and honest. Wayne Dyer is the one that said, be open to everything and attached to nothing.
I love that. I love when he said that.
Yes. You know, so, and those are just a few of the things that you could do. But the most important thing is to know where you want to go, because the job of the subconscious mind is to bridge the gap from where you are today to where you want to go. In the Bible, it says, those without a vision shall perish. You know, so if you have a goal of where you want to go, life is going to bing bong you all over the place, this world, you know, because the universe and God, it doesn't have direction of where you want to go. So that is so important. Have a vision for your life of where you want to go, know what you want, and then step into the shoes today. Don't wait until it happens of the person that you want to be in the future. And that constantly changes, right? Because you're going to hit that goal and then you're going to have a bigger one. You're going to have all different goals. That's the fun of life, the beauty of life. Living gratitude, that's the bridge from fear to love. To get you out of fear, get into gratitude. Fear will never serve anybody. Fear will hold everybody back, you know, and celebrate. I made up a quote in 1991 with everybody knows, the cancer diagnosis in a hospital bed, Memorial Sloan Kettering in Manhattan. And when all the doctors kept telling me I was going to die, I wrote out a quote, because I learned about this stuff then in 1991 when nobody was talking about it. I'm like, this is amazing. 25 years old, I was sold. And it was the best thing that could have happened to me. And I made up a quote that says, celebrate life and you'll have a life worth celebrating. Don't wait to hit the goal. Don't wait to hit the goal to celebrate. celebrate each and every day. In other words, be grateful for what you have each and every day and celebrate it, because that evokes the feeling of joy, which is the high vibe that you need to attract the right people, places, and things to you, right? Joy, love, joy, and inner peace. And when you're living in joy and love, you just naturally have peace. The world could be exploding around you. It could be like things dropping from the sky, and the Chicken Little kind of a thing.
Right.
But when you are in this kind of thing that Madison and I are talking about today, you're not going to go down the rabbit hole, and life is not going to be a daily terror ride, like that roller coaster ride of like, oh my God, what's going to happen today on the news, and that's happening all over the world. And you don't have to live that life. That's a choice. You could tune it out and live a better life, and enjoy, celebrate life, and you'll have a life worth celebrating.
Amen. And on that note, where can people find you, Erin? Because you're a remarkable human being. And if you want to be coached directly by her, you can call her up, because that's what she does.
Yeah. So they can reach me on my email is info@erinley.com, ERINLEY.com, or my website, which is erinley.com, ERINLEY.com. And so, yes, I'm a global leading life coach and business strategist, and I just opened up a coaching agency for any coaches out there that are looking to go next level in your business. Reach out to me at my website, erinley.com. And for anybody looking to be matched with a coach, that's what my agency is going to do. I have coaches in all different niches. So super excited about that. So again,
I love that.
Website and contact me with any questions that they have. We can have a call. Perfect.
Well, Erin, thank you so much. I'm glad that we talked about this, because I just love the 7-figure self-image. And I hope that my passion came through, which I think it did.
It did. And I'm telling you, I'm doing events.
Now I need to go smoke a cigarette. Just kidding. Just kidding. I feel like in the 70s when people used to have sex, they'd be like, I gotta smoke a cigarette.
I know.
It's like, woo, I just had an orgasm in my head. Just kidding.
You're too funny. You're so I love you.
All right. I want everyone to be successful, happy, healthy, and wealthy. And that is the point of this podcast, Next to Madison. I had so much fun on this episode. I think we're just going to start taking the filters off. Not that we ever had one, but I think we're going to start maybe seeing more of Madison's passion side.
There you go.
So if you like that,
I like it.
Yeah, share this with somebody that you think could be a millionaire and is not. And share it with somebody who you think could be a billionaire, but is not, because they're only a millionaire. Because once you have a 7-figure self-image, then you can create an 8, 9, 10, so on. So
that's the new foundation. Literally, it's the new foundation.
Your mind determines your success. Yep.
Yeah.
So I believe everyone that's listening to this podcast deserves to be super healthy, wealthy, and happy. So go get them, Tigers. All right, Erin, love you to death.
Love you too.
And we'll see you guys next time to find out who's next.
Hey, your host here, Madison Malloy. Please make sure to subscribe to the show on all podcast platforms, and please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. Also, if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@nexttomadison.com. I thank you again for listening. Bye.